So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers around the globe, and welcome to another series of intimate conversations with your host, Mandy Horton. And today we have the gorgeous guest, Ashley Harris. And welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Awesome to be here.
Oh, I'm really keen, as I always am, to get into chats with our guests. And there's so many of you that are just phenomenal doing what you're doing around the globe and all over the place. And you're in New Zealand here. Um, and so I'm going to just read your little bio and then we will get into how you got into doing all of this that you're doing. All
Beautiful,
right.
yeah.
So, this is in Ashley's words. My pregnancy and birth journey were the catalyst for my growth into motherhood and the work I do today. I've created my own hypnobirthing program, woven with my own research, education, and lived experience to help women cultivate deep trust in their bodies and in the perfect instinctive process of birth. Sorry. It's my passion to support mothers to feel calm, confident, and connected as they prepare to birth their babies and to gently nurture the newly birthed mother within themselves. I love that. I really love that. And I know, we've known each other for a little while, a few years now, and I've watched this birthing itself with you. And I'm really, really, because we haven't actually had a talk about what that involves and all the things. But first of all, the first question that I'd like to just ask you is, were you a consciously aware child? And if so, what was the dynamics of that in your family? If not, what was the dynamics of that in your family? Like, bring it up from there and then we'll move on.
Yeah. Amazing question. Wow. So I've always been a very kind of sensitive kid, sensitive, creative, emotional. And I did grow up in a family that were very kind of like staunch, sporty. I definitely was a bit different, um, but I don't know if I was so much consciously aware. But I definitely had moments that I've reflected back on recently, actually. About the other day, I was just eating an apple, and I remember when I was like, maybe I don't even know, maybe 6 or 7. I remember doing the same thing, just absolutely in awe of this apple, like, wow, a plant made this, and like
Oh,
eating it, like, wow, this came from a tree. And, from for a kid, that's quite,
yeah,
that's sort of a bit of that awareness going on, that
yeah.
connection. As well as I remember too as a kid trying to just be, so I would try, how when we just being, we just swallow, like we swallow our saliva without even like consciously, it's just an unconscious thing that we do. And I remember as a kid trying to do that, but be aware, but never quite been able to do it. But I guess that's
Yeah,
that's that's that awareness thing, right?
yeah, yeah, for
Mm.
sure. It's really interesting that you actually got the apple thing, like the wonder of it, I suppose, eh? Like, wow,
Mm.
yeah, I get it. I know I
Yeah.
was very much like that around nature, you know, everything in nature and how it all worked together, really. Not that I really knew, but I knew there was a system, within the bush. And I loved the bush when I was a kid. So cool.
Yeah.
And then, so Ashley, do tell us about your hypno birthing and oh my God, so yeah, explain. I'm so keen to find out what that is.
Yeah. So like what it is and how I do it type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's well today, right? The times that we live in at the moment are very sort of fast paced, especially us women, right? We always go, 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 especially now that we work so hard. And I sort of feel like we're constantly on the go. There's always something to
Yeah.
do. It's kind of not just women, really. It's everybody. That time of slowness and stillness is quite hard to come by, and you've got to consciously put time aside to do it these days.
Mhm.
And for pregnancy, it's vital. Like you need to do that because that the way that we operate from our nervous system
Yeah.
um, has to be in this place of slow and stillness and calm for birth. But if you're not used to operating from that place, or you're not comfortable in slowness and stillness, then birth can be quite a different experience than how it's sort of designed to be. So my program, it's a time set aside every week to actually do the work. I've got an intensive class as well, but I do recommend doing the 5 weeks because it's kind of actually doing the work as well, for
Yes.
5 weeks, once a week doing it. And it's just teaching women about the importance of that slowness, not just, I kind of try not to talk too much about like the energetics of it all, which it definitely like is, but I have a
Yeah.
lot of different women coming through, so I don't want to kind of bring too much woo woo. I sort of hinge towards, I do talk about that stuff, but I more talk about like the physiology and like the science behind it, and how
Yes.
the birthing process is actually designed for you to be in the state of calm. Because when you are on the go all the time, it's, your body keeps the score, right? So your body's kind of tense, and we always sort of are holding some sort of tension because there's something going on unconsciously or consciously, and our body holds it. And if you approach birth with that tension in the mind and the body, then it can't quite flow how it's designed to. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. I teach about the birthing process and how it's all just about letting go, just releasing tension, and the mind-body connection, right? If your mind is calm, then your body follows suit and your body is relaxed. And that's exactly how you're meant to be leading into birth, for your birthing experience. Um, and not just birth as well. Like I like women to do it earlier on in their pregnancy because I teach about how their baby feels what they feel. So if
Yeah.
they are go, 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 on the go, on the go, on the go, their hormonal release gets filtered down into the placenta, into Bubs, and Bub's brain is growing in that environment. So
Yeah.
if you're always on the go, a bit anxious, tense, your baby is going to get that information and think, shit, it's crazy out there, and it'll develop its brain accordingly to be like hyper vigilant because it's madness out here. So then they'll
Yes.
grow their, a large hind brain because they need to be, you know, prepare themselves. Whereas if they integrate it like that calmness throughout their state of being throughout pregnancy, if they calm and have that solid practice, then baby's going to feel that and grow their brain, um, you know, better
Yeah.
in a better
Yeah.
environment. Yeah.
Beautiful. I know in the the mahi I do, that I assist people back into the womb to see how the baby was feeling, how they as that baby were, or what were they experience, how were they feeling, and then
Mm.
leaving their energy as the baby there, and then reaching out to the wall of the mother, and what do they feel from mum, and how was
Wow.
mum
Yeah.
feeling? And man, there's some big aha moments in realizing that what that, because then once we've felt mum, we leave the energy of mum there, come back to the baby. How is it? How is that baby feeling now? And there's often a difference. They are recognizing that the feeling they described first as the baby was actually what they were picking up off mum. When we
Wow.
leave it with mum and we come back to the baby, it's really like, yay, I'm coming in, like, blah, blah. And then we go into why they've come in. What is it that they're coming in to actually do? So we go back before this conception. But it's a really interesting thing. And I know for me, I picked up stuff from my mum that I was carrying through life. And then until I went into that process and took myself through that myself, I was like, oh my God, all the sadness came from mum. It's not even mine. because I couldn't
Yeah.
equate. Why was I deep sadness when I'm really a gung ho happy, yay, I'm here. And it just didn't equate. I recognize we have other life experience and it could have been that, but that even didn't equate for me. So anyway,
Mm.
that's the thing. And so, one of the questions I'm really keen to ask you here, I'm just going to pop it in here now, but is that do you go into the birthing with the mums? Do you coach them up too, and then it's over to the midwives and things, or are you a part of that process as well?
Yeah, so great question. That's actually on my to-do list, like in my goal. That's where I want to end up. I want to end up with the woman. I think I've been umming and ahhing about midwifery,
Yes.
and I've been thinking about it, and I nearly did it. I even like enrolled to sort of start the study process, but then, you know what it took? It just took me to stop, just to slow down and yeah, it all became clear that all that medical stuff is not like who I am, you know. So
Yeah.
my role is more of like a doula, you know. So I will be with women. The midwives will be there for the medical side of things, but I will be
Yeah.
there with her. So that's definitely something that I aspire to. I've got a few more things under the hypnobirthing round that I want to do, but I'm nearly finished. The cool thing about my hypnobirthing is I'm near the end of everything I want to do there for it to kind of be complete, and I can just operate from there. And then I've got some other things that I want to do first, and then all of it,
Yeah.
yeah, and then all
Yeah.
of it will culminate till later when I go into my doula work. So all these other modalities that I learn will then filter into the end goal, I guess, which is that being with
Beautiful.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. And when knowing that the baby is decides when the waters break and when it's ready to move, how do you feel around inducing?
Well, yes, I definitely with what I do and that I get all different types of women come through my program, so very like
Yeah.
clinical women. And I love that, I love opening their eyes to, oh, actually, it's really rewarding. But then I also do get the very kind of aware woman coming through too, and it's all so awesome. I love what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, inducing, I definitely think there is a space for inducing, but ah, even then, I don't know. I like to keep an open mind because, it's there for a reason. But it definitely, and this is what I teach too, it definitely is needlessly imposed. I teach them about hospital and hospital policy and procedures and how when you get offered these things, it's part of their policy. It's not because you necessarily need it, it's part of the system, and they have a full right to decline it. It's just an offering. You don't have to
Yeah.
decline it. I like
Yeah.
to teach them about an informed birthing experience, so
Yeah. Great.
they can decide. I definitely think induction, I mean, realistically, looking at the stats too, right? Induction is messing with the whole process. It's kind of like you wouldn't sort of slit open a chrysalis when a caterpillar is in there, right? You wouldn't slit it open to try to get the butterfly out. You just leave
Mm.
it be. Any little like inductions, yeah, you're messing with it, with whether it
The
be
natural
syntocin,
rhythm, really. Yeah.
yeah, because your body, the process, it's a slow build of hormones. It's perfectly designed, and then,
Yeah.
but as soon as you interrupt that, then it's kind of messed with.
Yeah.
Um, and it's
Yeah.
all
For
done
sure.
all wrong. Yeah, because the body, with injecting like synthetic oxytocin, for instance, your body slowly builds up the oxytocin for it to, and it crosses the brain barrier. Big thing is like when it's injected into you, it's not crossing your brain, and the brain is what develops like the emotional,
Yeah.
the feel good, the calmness, the high, the pain relief through the natural oxytocin, but when you're injecting it in, it doesn't cross through the brain barrier, so you don't have these beautiful emotional effects from it. And it's not like beautifully built on and built on. It's just this big surge of oxytocin, so your body's just like, like it's just messing with the
Yeah.
process. And I teach too, there's so many, even just like interrupting a birth woman through trying to, because she's operating from a different place in her brain, right? And so
Yeah.
when you're trying to talk to her to make decisions or something, she's switching. That's a interference in itself, it's
Yeah.
a interruption. So it really is the most sacred, beautiful, well-designed process that needs the patience from
Mm,
everyone around.
yeah, it is actually. And yeah, I had two different types of births. My first one was breech, legs up over the shoulders, bum first, and she was 20 minutes birthed. Like I just
Wow.
went into that was it. We're in. They were trying to wheel me off to theatre and I was, yeah, just already there. But and then my next one was 17 hours of, get this thing out of me type of
Yeah.
and she was sort of stuck on the pelvic bone, so to turn over and hands and knees type job. And that was all good. But I experienced a lot of grief. My mum passed the night she was conceived, so I carried a lot of grief with my second one, and she has major anxiety. Like she was suffered from panic attack and anxieties, and I think a lot of that was from the program that was happening for her when I was carrying her, trying not to be as griefy as I could, thinking of her, but it was
Yeah.
just there in the body. So she definitely picked up on stuff there. But when going back to the inducing, why do you think what is it do you feel that why they're forcing that so much? Because they really are in the ways that there's so many of my peeps that come in and they've been, induced and every birth now is being offered the inducing. What
Mm.
is that about? Like, do you know why? Is there a
Yeah, well,
reason behind that?
I think there's a few different reasons. I think a lot of it is like conditioning too, like especially young midwives throughout, because so where to start? It's kind of like, yeah, it's crazy because going through the system with my pregnancies, I had quite a young midwife, and she was talking. She even just saying the word induction, it's as a pregnant woman, you straight away are like, oh my god, And there's talk of induction at like 39 weeks when you're not even at the
Oh
so-called
no,
40
that's what
weeks.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. So I teach that, I teach that you're not actually overdue till past 42 weeks.
yeah.
And a lot of first time mums too, stats are in that they will hold their babies until like 41.3 weeks. I think it's just, a lot of the midwives are kind of maybe conditioned to, because it's part of the system, right? So the system is, especially if you're under midwives are under the medical umbrella now. So their practice is under the medicalisation, right?
Yeah,
And so um, if you are going through the hospital, it is policy to offer induction at boom 40 weeks, because also you can look at it, the medical system is so backed up too, like it is so sort of crammed, and so you've got to kind of move the system along to get in the other one. So in their mind, it's just hurrying along the process so you can get baby out safely. It's a they think it's a controlled thing. They induce, they can control when baby comes out, and it's really difficult because birth isn't a control. You can't
factory.
control
So,
it.
it's
Yes,
like
yes, it is.
factory. Yeah, hurry up on the
Yes.
next one, conveyor belt. It's
Yeah,
it's
and if it's not
really
moving according
out the
to their
gate.
time, next thing, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
we are really lucky here in New Zealand though. Like the midwives we have here are
yeah,
really beautiful, and that's what I teach mums, to cultivate that real trust, with their midwife, that relationship. So if they do, um, if they do offer things, they have that
yeah,
trust there. It wouldn't just be needlessly kind of talked about, or policy to offer it to you now. If that relationship is there and you have had the confidence to convey your birth preferences and how you want birth to play out, then the communication lines are open. You trust that she's going to follow through for that birth plan as much as she can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, yeah, the LMCs do operate differently than the hospital midwives, because the hospital midwives are literally under that hospital umbrella, so they have to offer these things, whereas the LMCs are quite good at kind of saying this is the policy, but they work with you a lot better to because it can even come. I like to say that birth is it is. It's a natural process, a perfectly designed natural process. But then there are complications that happen, but they're called, we like to call them special circumstances, because they're not normal, right? So they're special circumstances, and that could even come down to, her pregnancy. If she's constantly operating from fight or flight, then the whole pregnancy journey, the whole process of pregnancy could have been interrupted with just the way of being that the pregnant mama has been operating at, so that can create problem. And then
Absolutely.
yeah
Definitely. It has a big bearing on it.
mm,
I was a 42 weeker, and they tried to get me to induce my second daughter, and I just said no. I'm not. I'm going to wait. She'll be right when she's right, and she
that's
was.
so
There
good.
was no.
Yeah,
She wasn't in, like, if they're stressing, if the baby's in distress or something like that, they tend to want to do something. And I might have taken that advice and said, okay, let's do it if that was happening. But she was all good. I was all good. There wasn't any
that's
real
a,
reason to do it.
mm,
Yeah.
that's it. And that's what I teach too, like, use your own intuition. Like,
Yeah.
if everything is fine, then and I like to say you are in the driver's seat of your birthing
Mm,
experience. It's all up to you.
yeah.
And that way too, if these medical interventions are suggested, and think, because there are issues going on, gain all the
Mm,
information and you make that call. And if it's your decision, it keeps your birth your own. It hasn't been taken away from you. So if you do
yes.
end up with a
Yes.
cesarean, but you have said, you've gained the information and you have said yes, let's do it. That's your
Mm,
journey, and it's still yours. I've also just created too a cesarean. I don't like a little guidebook on working through a cesarean, because I can't imagine how you would feel after that. Like, especially after planning a natural birth and then things have happened and you've ended up down that road. Can you just imagine the emotional toll that would
yeah.
take on you as a woman?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Wow. And it is, when my first daughter, she birthed my grandson, and it was a water birth, and it was just lovely. There was everything just seemed to go quite well, and it did. It was great. And as a mum, oh my gosh, it's such a sitting in patiently waiting and hearing, knowing they're in that pain, and oh my goodness, but knowing too that it's such a beautiful thing, and there was going to be this great thing that was happening. We'll be holding this little baby soon. But my
Mm.
second daughter, when she birthed my granddaughter, there were moments, and then we knew the midwife. She was a friend of my older daughter, so it was really nice to have somebody that knew us, and she was good at what she did and all the things. But there were moments in there where I was starting to get concerned. I was like, and I had to get her to explain what we were up to, because for me it felt like we need to be doing something different now. Something's not right. There was and I was getting a little panics. And then as soon as she started explaining to me the process, where we were up to, and what this is, what's happening here, and then this will be the next process, it was like, okay, okay, I can, take a big breath and just calm down. But that's something else I'd say to people, like, actually find a rapport with the person, the midwife, definitely, because it's an important place to be, in that place together. You need somebody you trust. And when I was carrying my first daughter, I had this midwife that I'd chosen. I didn't really know I didn't know them. And this woman one day she'd come out to check me, or I was at her, wherever, and she was talking about someone else, right? A mother, and how she screams so much. Oh my gosh, the screaming and rant, rant, rant. And I was like, hey. And then I said to her, oh, I said, do you have children? Like in conversation, I didn't sort of bring it in then. And she said, no, no, never had any children. And for me, that was like, well, you've not walked this talk. She just
Yeah.
hadn't. And that just, for me, that just, nah, I didn't feel it there at all. And I went on,
Mm,
dropped her and got another lady. And there was a beautiful rapport. She'd had children. She knew the process well. Wasn't so book coming from the book from this other lady, just didn't fit me. So,
yeah,
you
right.
do have to, and you can say no. You don't have to say yes to everything and everyone, you know, even if you
Especially if it doesn't feel right for
no.
you.
And even if
Mm,
that's three times that might happen, and then you get on to the next one and it's the right one. Just keep doing until you find that right person because it's so important. Really,
yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that moment too, like, this is something else that I talk about it. Yeah, you have to have that trust with them because when you're birthing, you need to be out of your head and in your body. You can't have any sort of,
No.
you can't be shy or worried. You need to be totally be able to like be in your body and let go. I talk about it like, it's like an orgasm. Like,
Yeah.
you can't orgasm if you're in your head or worried
No.
about you've got to be you've got to just in your body, not out here. And if someone is in that space that you don't feel comfortable around, how can you let go? You know?
Mm. Yeah, exactly. And it's such, I mean, as painful as it can be, and I've watched so many Lincoln, not so many, but I've watched a few TikToks or reels where the guys have got the the contraction
Oh.
machine on them. And
Yeah.
it just cracks me up. I'm like, they're only on two. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, yeah, yep. That just
Uh,
makes me laugh so much. And it's definitely a space that you really need to feel comfortable. And I can only imagine how these beautiful women that you've been coaching through and with, how their processes change from being involved with you, Ashley. Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mm,
they do. They just start. Yeah, it's that's so rewarding. Like seeing that because you can see it within them, and when I'm teaching, like you can see the ah, and then sometimes too they'll share with me afterwards. Like I really trust it, and that so it turns from like, you know, a bit of fear or you're always a bit worried about birth, but
yeah.
they sound a bit excited.
Oh,
Like, oh, that is
yay.
so good because it is such a rite of passage, right?
It is definitely.
Mm,
Yeah, for sure. And that, knowing how much it can affect a baby depending on the surroundings, the environment, the whole way the mother is, all of that, and how much an effect that all has on the baby. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing to know that more of this is happening, and it's not that
mm,
factory in and out type of job where that's just get that baby out of there and get on to the next one. It's sad actually when I've been watching, and there's so many more. Won't go there. Things they're putting into it afterwards as well. It's like God, you know,
yeah.
in that system. But anyway, that's everyone's personal choice as to what they put in their babies' bodies and what they put in their own and all the things. But there's more of that being sort of brought into it as well now with the whooping cough. You can't be around these newborn babies. Um, in Australia, particularly, is where I know it from. That any newborn baby now they are having whooping cough, and parents have to, and so do grandparents. Anyone who's going to be around the baby in the first 6 weeks has to have one of those, or you don't be around the baby. And it's not
Wow.
here in New Zealand, thank goodness.
Mm.
But no doubt it'll probably try, and
Yeah,
that's just
Australia's
like
getting quite
too
crazy with
right.
all. mm,
Mhm.
with
Yeah,
a lot of their systems, they're really
yeah,
ramping it up.
yeah,
I sort of feel like like how you said you're really happy to hear that there's lots more of this knowledge kind of getting out there. It's kind of
yeah,
like, there's this knowledge and then there's the medical system, but both are ramping up, right? So they're
yeah.
both like climbing, climbing, climbing.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is crazy. And it is now, like, I think through the COVID era, what people learnt was, even though I didn't think I had a choice, I did have a choice. And I think today now that has opened people up more to realizing that actually in everything we do, we have a choice. And there's multiple
Mm,
choices in many different things, like in your industry with what you're doing, there's multiple choices. It's not just one thing that so I think more and more people are realizing that they don't have to be bullied into things, that they can actually have a choice and they can say no if they want to, and they can choose something different. And
mm,
I'm loving seeing that. I know I'd like more of that, but I know that's at least in the process of a bit of a shift over and a change. So this is beautiful. And I know lots of different women who are working with a lot of women on the womb and through womb clearing and all of the things. So it's a beautiful thing. More of these precious little souls that are coming in are having better landings. you know.
mm. Oh,
Yeah,
totally. And
yeah.
what a like, because it's the entrance into this world, right? So if the mother is in the nice, instinctive, calm space. That's
Mm.
that's the environment. And two, I've woven a bit of sound into
Oh,
my
yeah.
teaching. So like the sounds, the frequencies that babies are getting born into, like how epic is that?
Beautiful. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful because there's probably about 2, 3 years ago now, I was told at the beginning of the year came in that sound was going to be very important. And it definitely ramped up. Everyone was starting to get really into sound, frequency stuff and sound bowls and all the different baths, sound bathing.
Mm.
Yeah, it's still gorgeous. I love it. And the difference it makes in the body when you have the right frequency for your body too, you know. Mm,
Totally, yeah.
yeah,
So I do, yeah, I like how I said there's lots of different women come through my program. So I like to leave little bits. So I do talk about frequency and stuff, but I more lean on like the science behind it.
yeah.
So then they can actually like, oh, all right, all right. Oh yeah,
Mm,
then they can digest it a bit easier because it is. So if I leave some of the, energetic terminology out of it and bring in like the
yes.
scientific terminology, their ears will prick a bit more. But I'm actually just creating a energetics class at the moment, and I'm loving it because I don't have to hold back with my language. It's all the good stuff. So it's really cool. It's
Yay.
yeah,
That's really
I'm
cool.
excited.
And what else, like, Ashley, what else have you got coming up? Like, what do you teach this that you're doing, the hypnobirthing? Do you teach that for others to, like, are you teaching other people to do what you're doing? Have you got a
Oh,
program?
like to educate or
Yes. Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm just my maybe later I have that has come into my like mind, but at the moment I'm still very much in like my building stages. Like there's so much more I want to I'm still in my service to the woman.
Right. Yeah.
Um maybe later, but yeah, at the moment just working towards like my services and how I can show up and helping women
Yeah.
stand like step into their motherhood, because it's
Mhm.
such a profound time. And if you are ready and have that awareness around like the sanctity of it all, then far out, that's friggin' epic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
So maybe
gorgeous.
later. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon that'd be a great thing for more of you out there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
that would
totally.
be wonderful. Yeah.
There actually is a lot of women stepping into this space, which is really cool. A lot of women I'm seeing too are stepping into the postpartum
Yeah.
space, because that is like, there is a whole lot that you can learn leading up. Then it's the birth, but that postpartum time is the time of real, the layers have been shed. It's very raw, you have
Yeah.
just gone through this incredible experience, and then your life is more or less, it's tipped upside down. But
So
it's,
is.
yeah, but as yeah, I do have a postpartum class that I've just made, which is beautiful. It's all about just the awareness of what you're doing, and I do talk about that too throughout the 5 weeks. It's learning to cultivate that slowness and that calmness, and sort of stopping and being in the present moment, because if you don't become comfortable in that,
Yeah.
that's what postpartum is. You're thrown into that. So if
Yeah.
you're comfortable in that already, then that is beautiful. You're able to, because the postpartum, like the integration, the processing of your birth that you've just had, that takes some time. The integration of your new life, the new you, it's huge. And
Yeah.
so there are a lot of women now stepping into that space, like the holding of that space, like
Yeah.
postpartum doulas. There's a lot of people doing that at the moment, which is beautiful.
That's really good, because that's huge. Particularly first mums, and if they haven't, like I know a few mums, my youngest daughter's friends, who have had their babies and they haven't had their mums around. They haven't had
Mm,
support in the sense like I might have had, or or many other women. But to have that sort of support, that would be really great, for sure.
yeah,
Because it's a
yeah,
bit daunting, you know.
definitely. And we just have, like, this, it's society the way it is at the moment. There's so much expectation on
Mm,
us, right?
yeah,
Especially after having a baby, right? 6 weeks and then you're back in there, honey. Like,
yeah,
it's not like it's, yeah. And so for
no,
you think, shit, this is how I'm meant to go to work, like, especially leading up to work. I'm meant to go to work soon, but you're not ready. Like, my God, you're
no,
still in that postpartum time. Like, it's 2 years, I reckon, is the postpartum time frame.
yeah,
Even
I
then,
would agree.
if you're still
Yeah,
breastfeeding, you're still not gonna, your hormones are still developing milk, so you're not,
yeah,
yeah, it's huge. It's like my son, he's was 2 in February, so like 2 in a few months. um I just feel like now I'm coming out of postpartum a little bit, he doesn't
yeah.
need me as much as a newborn baby, but I'm still breastfeeding, so I'm still in it. That's
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, no, it's big. It's big. In today's environmental society, the way that we've created life is just so rushed. Everything's
mm,
rushing. Like it's got to a
yeah,
point where it's just going so fast and so ridiculous that people are just robotic now in life. A lot of people. A lot are now deciding that they're really going to take more time out, more um, spend more time sitting in no noise, silence and stillness, and go nature, and be there. And yeah, it's really nice to see a lot more doing that and taking life a lot, making it a lot slower, slowing down,
mm,
just taking out of all the busy. It's too
yeah,
much. We've been overloaded and overwhelmed, really, I think, with too much. Mm.
because yeah, I guess if you are on that wheel, that yeah, time does go really fast because you're operating quickly. But
Mm.
if you slow down, then life will slow down, time will slow
Yeah.
down.
Exactly. And the nervous
Mm,
system, you give yourself the body time to adjust to what you're up to, like what we
mm,
can get done in one day. It's like, wow. I
mm.
used to get
And
done
that's
so much in one day, and now I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not racing around like that anymore. Not at all.
oh,
No,
I love it.
not
And it's
interested.
yeah, and that's how we're designed to be as humans, right?
Mm,
So I teach this about the birthing process and pregnancy, but it's actually like humans, everyone needs to
mm,
slow down, and because it's how our human bodies are designed. It's how we're designed. That's why, there's
Yeah.
so much sort of illness and digestive issues and, problematic gut. It's all because of how we
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that quickening, we've just been, grabbing what's convenient, which is often foods that aren't, the best.
Mm,
And life's being lived a lot like that, where it's just the convenience of hurry up. I've grabbed that pie because, I've got to go to this next thing in 10 minutes, and it's too radical. But anyway,
yeah.
it is what it is. And I do notice, though, I really am noticing a lot changing that in their lives. And it's really nice to see. It's really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, so what else, Ashley? What would you say, maybe to a young mum who's coming into, maybe like do you, do you get the youngs, the first pregnancy type, are they interested in this type of thing, or is it is it more your age group maybe? Like
Mm.
is it around about everyone, or are you getting sort of one particular flavor of age, if you get what I mean?
Yes, I hear you. Yeah. It is. I get a lot of first time mums. Well, that's the thing. I don't see too many young ones. I would love to. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, because yeah,
yeah,
I would really like to. But a lot of them are, yeah, like around like late 20s, 30s, even 40. But women that are consciously conceiving as well are older, right? Like women are
yes,
having children later.
yeah.
So no, I haven't had any young. I've had a few young ones. I did have one young girl, and she was amazing. Her birth was incredible. I mean, once
Mm,
they, like, yeah, those young ones, once they, I guess, attune themselves to what is, they are just incredible to watch. And
yeah.
her birth was exactly that. Um, yeah,
Mm,
so it's more, yeah, pregnant mamas are older now. But I
yeah,
would I would love to see younger ones for sure.
yeah,
But I don't get many. Mm.
yeah. It'd be great for those young girls who, termed as a mistake and have decided to keep the baby, and go through with the pregnancy. Those young girls would have a lot of anxiety, a lot of, guilt tripping, all the things that would go along with it, a lot of emotional stuff going on. So, yeah, it would be good to be able to, help them, assist them. Mm,
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree.
mm,
Um, because really too, like if we're going from, physiology, our bodies are kind of conditioned for like they're primo conditioned younger, right? In the
yeah,
mid early
yeah,
20s. And but
mm,
that would help a lot. Yeah, imagine that, the shame,
yeah,
shame
yeah,
is
yeah.
mm,
That was me in my first, because it was supposed to be a mistake, but I knew totally what I was up to. I knew
yeah, I bet.
I did. I knew that I was meeting my husband in a few years, like, down the track. He couldn't have children. I hadn't met him yet, but I was going to. And
Mm,
I knew where he lived, what town, and that he couldn't have children. So this guy that I allowed to be allowed, who had been chosen, obviously, to be the donor for me to carry a child for this man that I married. And that all happened. I met him at 3 months pregnant, and that was us. We were inseparable, and he couldn't have children. So
mm,
it was funny. But when I told parents, of course, my parents, it was, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to, you're getting rid of it or whatever? And I said no. And I couldn't sort of say to them at that time, well, this is what I know, because there was a little questioning around all of me at that time and who I was. Um,
mm.
and I didn't do things by the book. I didn't do it how they expected me to do it. So there was always this bit of on edge with Mandy. But anyway, it all worked out beautifully. And yeah,
Yeah,
funny. But I
amazing.
was,
That's
there was a lot of guilt that went with it and the way that others saw me in town, because it was a small town. And at my age, where, it was not a lot of pregnant girls at that age, so it was shocking.
yeah, wow, go
All the
Mandy
stuff.
though.
But
Yeah, for
yeah,
you to stay
funny.
strong and you knew and I love that too. I think that like that shame around pregnancy early. I even felt that. Like I was 28 years old in a beautiful relationship. Like life
Mm,
was perfect. It was a perfect time to bring a child through.
yeah,
But I still felt that because it was my daughter was a surprise. I still felt that shame
yeah,
because of that noise.
yeah,
Um, and two, and yeah, when you carry that through pregnancy like how you knew it was all right, and that's the same with like myself and leading through to like my birth. I
yeah.
knew I was going to birth like perfectly fine, and I knew I was going to birth fast, but I also felt like who am I to speak that? So I felt like I always had to be like, yeah, I think I'm going to be fine, but we'll see. I
Right.
never,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, yes, that's what I teach too. Like you are designed to do this, like hold that confidence, own that confidence, and
Yeah.
that knowing within you, like that little ember, like fan that fire and like
Yes. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And what we're doing with like you, oh, I think I'll be all right, is actually what we're trying to do is appease other people in that. You were trying
Mm,
to not upset others by saying what you actually really knew. And I
mm,
didn't say anything because I didn't want to go, freaking people out either. And it's sort of dumb, really. We just need to
mm,
say what we know and own it. And if anyone has an issue, they have an issue. But if you're not really confident in yourself, as we weren't both those times, then you
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
We just,
yeah.
yeah, work your way through it. But yeah, wow, it's a big mission. There's so many babies coming in always. And it's a really sacred thing, really sacred, and women's bodies are very sacred, and it's such a beautiful thing that we can do. And
Oh,
I remember somebody said to me, or I read it somewhere, I think I read it, that we as babies, or we as children to our mothers, are the only ones that have heard her heartbeat from the inside. Oh my God, that just like, whoa. I hadn't even
yeah.
thought about it like that. Like, you imagine yourself in the womb and, all of that. But to act, that just was like, wow, how
Mm.
incredible is that?
And that's that thing, like, what is more comforting, like, as a baby than your mother's heartbeat? Because that's what you're growing up here listening to.
Yeah,
And then there's the segregation, like you put your baby in a bassinet and you sleep separately and there's that segregation, but you just need that the pulsing of mum's heart.
yeah,
Um, that's the most soothing thing. And also like mama's voice, I teach about your voice, like learning to use your voice because that's what baby hears. And because, do
yes.
you want to hear something really sad? That I've heard mothers aren't singing to their children anymore because
Oh
you
no.
can just like play something.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
teach that there's nothing more soothing to bubs than your voice. And
yes,
if you sing, use your voice, breathe in through your nose and like even just hum. That's soothing for you too. Soothing. It's
yeah,
this beautiful
gosh.
harmony of calm for you both. Mm.
Yeah, gorgeous, eh? I used to wear the um, copper, and I had a twisted uh, brass and copper as well. And so there was two or three that I wore on my wrist. And they clanged a little, so there was with movement, they sort of clanged. And I remember going into the bedroom when my youngest one was in her bassinet and she was sound asleep and all the things. And I went in and I was doing something and my bracelets were, clang clanging. And I came, sneaking out so we don't wake her up and all of that. And I remember saying to her father, "Oh gosh, I must take these off. They're too noisy around a little baby." And he said, "No." He said, "She's used to that sound. That'll be a comfort to her." And I hadn't thought about
Mm.
it like that. And I thought, gosh, yes. And that kid, I decided that I wasn't going to sneak around anywhere. It was like, no, she's just going to be sleeping wherever. She'd fall asleep on the floor while I was vacuuming that girl.
Oh my
She was
gosh.
wonderful. And I'd look around, she'd be asleep. Like, okay, I'll carry her to bed and I'd put her up on the couch or to bed or whatever in her morning sleep. But funny, she just did that. It was really cool. So I learned like you change things each time. There's something that you learn from the first one, and then you switch a bit from that to this. And, it was really good. I've learned different things by the time I had my other daughter. And that was 17 years after my first one. So I had a bit of a gap.
Wow. Yeah, just a little one.
I reckon it was a bit of
Yeah,
a thing,
wow.
thinking, gosh, am I going to do this again? It was a decision. It wasn't, one of those mistakes.
Yeah,
But
beautiful
yeah, it
though.
was big. It was good though.
Mm.
So yeah, beautiful, beautiful thing. And well, I think what else? Is there anything else you'd like to say to everybody about you and what you do and what sort of message would you want to give somebody maybe?
That's a good question. Something that is really important, I think, is just learning how to breathe properly. Like talking about how we
Right.
live in such a fast society, our breathing is becoming, mouth breathing and shallow breathing. So for pregnant mamas, it is so important, but just for everybody, like whether you're pregnant or not, learning to breathe properly, which is in through the nose and out through the nose. All through the nose breathing is calm breathing, mouth breathing is anxiety breathing. So, and
Oh,
breathing down into your belly. So, filling up your belly, and even just like doing 3 of those breaths have a longer exhalation than an inhalation. So, a
yeah,
good count to practice, even if you just sit for like a minute and just go in, breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 8 seconds. That'll be magic on your
yeah,
state of being.
yeah.
Mm. And then
I
that state
agree.
of being that you cultivate, tap into that throughout
Yeah,
your day as much as you can.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, I I don't know if you know Wim Hof. He does the ice
Mm.
bath and breath work stuff. Well, his brother Marcel was out here not long ago, and I'd always said that I was going to, if I go to Norway or Netherlands, I'd go and do the ice bath thing because I'd honestly panic in there if I get in cold water. I just can't breathe.
Mm.
And anyway, Marcel ended up at my door, basically on my doorstep here in Whangarei. So I went and did the breathwork thing, and then we did the ice bath, and I did 2 minutes. I was so proud of myself. Didn't even feel
Wow.
like I was in ice. I mean, initially when you first got in, and then it just was warm. And I'd said to him, make sure you count down the minute because I don't think I'll last even that. And I got down to a minute, and he's like, "That's a minute." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Oh, I might do another." He was clapping me on,
Yeah, girl. Yeah.
um, but we did 45 minutes of breath work before we went into the ice. And I tell you what, Ashley, that was insane. Like I've done breath work before, and
Mm.
I used to have this thing around, don't tell me when I can breathe. Honestly, I'm such a rebel.
Rebel.
I know, it's so ridiculous. But anyway, I got through all that. I didn't have this time. And when he said 45 minutes, I was like, oh my God, seriously. But honestly, it went really quickly. And by the time I got through it, he said, okay, now on that one, hold. And so we held and we held and we held. And I had no panic in me to want to even take a breath. It was insane how long we held for that breath. And then he said, okay, release and breathe out. And then we breathed out and he said, now hold. And he held us there for another, I don't know, it felt like 2 minutes. It was unreal.
Wow.
I was blown away. And then for about 3 days afterwards, 4 days maybe, I felt like I had this deep cushion of air under my feet.
Oh my
Like the oxygen had just come completely through my full body. It was insane, the difference it made.
God.
And that how easy it was to get into some ice cold water. And I was one of the first ones in, so the ice was really there by the time the others had all gone round after round. It was sort of got the water, ice had melted, it had got warmer. So I was one of
Mm,
the first in, but it was a really cool experience. But that breath work is insane. And I get it, always have, but it was, I don't know, it was never really into it. But
mm,
I can see the benefits of it for sure. So I'm birthing
yeah.
definitely for sure. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I teach, yeah, three different breaths. It's quite cool. One, like the calm breath, that's that one, just the everyday breath. Then
yeah,
there's like the wave breath to utilize throughout your contractions. And then the birth breath, which is really awesome. It's instead of like holding your breath and pushing, you're just like constantly breathing and using the force of the breath for your push.
yes,
That one's a really cool one. Mm.
yeah. That'd be a way gentler too. You know,
Yeah, and you can toy with it too. Like exhalation through the nose is nice and like calm and slow. But then when you're in your birthing phase of birth, it's quite an intense time. So breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, I find is like faster and more like kind of forceful, I guess. So it's all up to the
yes,
woman and how she
yeah,
wants to do it. But yeah, the breath, it's incredible. It's
yeah. It
hacking
is.
the human body, right? I mean, that's what we're meant to do. Breathe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
for sure. No, beautiful and good on
yeah.
you. I remember the time when you birthed this in and you realized that this is what I was going to do. And you'd been sort of floating a bit with, oh, what am I doing? Because you'd done your florist thing and you'd got amazing accolades through that. And, you know, um, yeah, and this was just beautiful to see you land something. And it was like, yay, there it is.
Yeah, and it
Oh my
was the birth
goodness.
of my daughter that brought clarity. Like it was all
Yeah,
confusing because my path had changed and I didn't, and I was,
yeah.
but then once my daughter was born and I moved through that sort of process,
Mm,
everything became clear.
yeah,
Mm. And yeah, you
gorgeous.
watched it all. You helped me through it. Oh
I
my God. Yeah.
love it.
And so that's exactly what I do. I want to do and sort of guide women the way that you and many of those other women helped me. I
Mm,
think be the guiding light that you and those other women were for me.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, look,
Thank
so
you.
cool. So cool. And we're wishing you all the very best always, Ashley, for you and your family. Much, much love. And yeah, keep rocking it out there, girlfriends.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
Amazing.
you so much. Yeah, so
Oh,
much love to you too, Mandy. I love you a
oh,
lot. And
beautiful.
thanks again.
Mm, welcome.
Mm,
Bye bye.
bye.